Welcome to Edmonton, where the Eskimos are usually tough on the real grass at Commonwealth. The Esks have righted the ship, won 2 in a row, and tonight they battle Winnipeg for a share of first place with BC.
The Bombers relieved some pressure after a couple of wins, but last week a lopsided loss against the Lions, and the pressure is back on in Winnipeg.
And how about this? A great night for Wendy's Friday night football. It's 22 degrees in Edmonton. The wind northwest at 17, gusting to 28.
Well, Dave Ritchie's basically been under the gun since the opening kickoff of this season. Expectations high in Winnipeg. For a couple of years now, people in that province expect this team to win a couple of cups, and they've fallen short.
Eskimo head coach Tom Higgins won it all last year in open defense of the Grey Cup with 3 straight losses. Since then, the 2 impressive victories, and the Eskimos are well rested after coming off the bye week. A homecoming for a couple of ex-Eskimos in a critical game tonight with a little added incentive as we look over the lineups for this team. And Troy Westwood gets set to kick it off for the Blue Bombers. Winston October is deep for the Eskimos, and what a game he had in his last meeting. 298 yards coming down away from him, and this is Mike Bradley, who returns well as well. Bradley is out across the 30 and stopped at the 34-yard line. Edmonton's Jason Maas has found his groove after 3 straight losses, the back-to-back wins. The Eskimos have a gifted group of receivers led by Jason Tucker, 385 yards and 3 touchdowns in 5 games so far. And up front, Chris Morris is back at right tackle, and that makes a big difference to the Eskimos' running game. Here are the Eskimos out across the 30 at the 32. First down. Maas shotgun. Time to spare, and he missed his intended receiver, Jason Tucker.
Well, Alfred Payton returns to Edmonton, and he said in the newspaper, no hard feelings towards Tom Higgins or his former teammates. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's motivated to play in this one tonight, as is Terry Ray, who's made headlines in back-to-back weeks for the Bombers. One for a good reason, hit on Pat Woodcock, and then the second week for a not so good reason when he lost his cool versus the Lions.
Tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Tums. Tums tackles heartburn fast. 2nd and 10 Edmonton. Maas with lots of time again. He's got the target this time. It's Tucker. Huge gain for the Eskimos into Blue Bomber territory and drop inside the 30-yard line. Finally caught by Terry Ray.
Well, this Edmonton Eskimo receiving corps took a look at the depth chart that they were facing this week and realized they may have a chance for a big game tonight, simply because of all the changes that the Bombers have had to go through in their secondary. Ricky Bell, really the only consistency there. Of course, they lost Eric Carter versus the BC Lions. Marcus Howell starts there. So Tucker and the boys are looking for a big game tonight against the secondary trying to find itself.
What a way to start for Tucker, a 51-yard gain. And on the ground, it's Mike Pringle with his first carry. They're looking to get the ball to Pringle somewhere around 18 to 20 times along the ground and coming out of the backfield as a receiver.
Now 560 yards away from George Reed in that record. Pringle chips away. They have involved the running game in their 2 wins more than they did in the 3 losses to start the season, and that balance has helped Jason Maas.
Pringle picks up 8 there, 2nd and 2 Edmonton. Just inside the Blue Bomber 20, and no flags anywhere. That should be enough for an Edmonton first down to continue this drive.
Slow start for Mike Pringle out of the gate. He really wasn't seeing a lot of the football, but then the last couple of weeks they've given it to him. He has had 100-yard game, and there's his career numbers. 5.6-yard average.
In the early going, though, those 3 losses we talked about for the Eskimos, they were playing catch-up every night, so it wasn't a running opportunity for the Edmonton offense. Close enough to measure this.
Well, Pringle's 100-yard game versus the BC Lions this year, 139, and that's when he really broke out, had a nice game there, and a win for the Edmonton Eskimos got them going on this mini winning streak they're on right now.
Boy, I thought they had the first down, Glenn, but they come up a full yard shy.
Wait for the whistle, okay? Wait for the whistle.
All right, we'll wait.
Third and 1. And Maas himself, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Now, one thing that Danny Machocha might do, the offensive coordinator for the Edmonton Eskimos, is have Mike Pringle involved in this offense running towards Alfred Payton. That might sound a little strange, but Alfred Payton loves to get into his pass rush move early. If anyone knows that, it's the Edmonton Eskimo coaching staff. So we're going to watch a lot of Payton tonight. He's motivated, no question, but they may just attack Payton with the running game offensively.
First down, Edmonton. Nice play action fake by Jason Maas, underhand. Sidearmed that one, and I'm not so sure who it was to. Pringle was in the area.
Well, it was the girth of Tom Canada that really caused some problems for Jason Maas. Canada was standing right in front of him, and he had to kind of sidearm it around him. There's Tom Canada right here. He's going to step up the field. He's got containment, so he flashes out there. Now, Maas has to try and throw it around him and can't get that curveball.
He needed to put it around the corner. And Pringle was the intended target, as you saw. 2nd and 10. Here's the heat. Maas is down, lost the ball. Does he get it back? And under control. Maurice Kelly has the ball.
Sure did.
First turnover of the game, and a huge play for the Bombers, who gave up a 51-yard play. So Maas struggles there. Maurice Kelly comes up with the turnover, and zeros are on the board.
Would prefer not to have to bother to call their own plays. He says they have more than enough to think about on the field. It's all about being in sync with your offensive coordinator, and 9 times out of 10, he and Danny Machocha are thinking along the same lines anyways. Guys?
Jason Maas really got the job done there. 7 plays, 92 yards in a time of 3:31. Eskimos on top, and the Bombers returning out across the 35. That's Keith Stokes, the ex-Alouette, and Donnie Brady leading the Eskimo tacklers there. Kahari Jones gets another crack at it.
Well, Machocha called a couple of big plays, but Marcus Smith takes that hit from Terry Vaughn. And those are the type of hits that hang around for not just 1 or 2, but 3 or 4 plays. And you got to believe Marcus Smith was still affected by the hit from Terry Vaughn. He tried to cover Ed Hervey on that one.
Ed Hervey just squeezing into the end zone. So the Bombers will try and respond beginning at the 36-yard line. Jones has Stiegel to the near side.
Well, John, that's an interesting point, though, about quarterbacks calling their own plays. And I know, talking to some of them, they believe strongly that the quarterback should manage the game from the field, call his own plays. That's the only way they get a feel for it. Ron Lancaster Jr., right over there to the left of your screen, is now calling them for Kahari. And then there's some that feel the exact opposite. Like they would rather just worry about the execution of the play and the read that they have to make on the field, rather than all the situations involved in calling a play. It's not just a random process. You look at down and distance, field position, what type of defensive trends you're facing. All those things are added up, and then the play is called and it happens in 20 seconds. Some players just like to have it called for them.
You're looking at the score in the game. You're looking
Absolutely.
at how much time you have to the end of the first half or the end of the game, or a wind shift and all of those things. I mean, those are all considerations that you have to take into account when you're running an offense.
And like Jason Maas mentioned, most of the time, because you work so closely as a quarterback with your offensive coordinator, that you're basically on the same page and thinking the same way anyway. At least you should be.
The Bombers pick up 9 on the previous play. This is 2nd and 1. And it would appear there's enough there for a first down as Kahari Jones keeps it himself.
You know, and Kahari Jones has probably more pressure on him this year than he's had as a pro with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, simply because of what's transpired over the last couple of weeks. Kevin Glenn has come into the game in the last 2 weeks in a row. Kahari Jones pulled. This after the announcement of a new contract for Jones. It's all added up to a frustrating start to the season for Winnipeg, even though they've won a couple and are right in the thick of things in the West.
And very much in this game at 7-0, and Roberts is clotheslined. Steve Charbonneau got a big mid out and stopped the Blue Bomber running back in his tracks after a gain of a yard, maybe 2.
You know, Charles Roberts, as much success as he's had running the football in the CFL, this has not been a favorable park for him. And my theory on that is that When he gets on this natural grass, he is so quick and can cut on a dime. He gets in this natural grass and he has to be more patient. That's tough for him to slow his cuts down and be more deliberate with it.
2nd and 8, Kahari Jones shotgun. He has a wide open receiver. Kamal Peterson gets to the 40 of the Eskimos and caught there by Malcolm Frank. Looking back over the years, Glenn, the Bombers have been here 25 times to Commonwealth Stadium and they have only 8 wins.
Yeah, it's a tough place for a lot of teams to play, John, and Kamal Peterson makes more plays like this. He's the underman. Uses Milt Stiegel to run off the coverage and cut underneath in the open area. More plays like that, they may get one. May be able to get one.
Kamal Peterson has had the dropsies over the last couple of weeks. Missed one earlier, has 20 yards there. And Roberts had nowhere to run. Charles Roberts wrapped up by Kelvin Kinney, who's back in the Eskimo lineup after missing the Hamilton game.
Well, this defense should be well rested. Jock Climby talked in the beginning of the show about how many changes they've had to go through. A lot of injuries here and there, a few in the secondary. Greg Marshall has had to balance that out and do a little bit of a juggling act, but now they're all healthy. They've come off 2 wins and a bye. So this should be one of their best tonight.
No gain for Roberts, 2nd and 10, and this will be a Winnipeg first down. Jamie Stoddard making the catch on the out. Nice pattern for a 13-yard gain.
Well, Kahari Jones, quarterback, paid the price for the throw. He stood in there and he knew that he was going to have to hang on. Jamie Stoddard had to fight bump and run coverage, and Albert Reese said, all right, you're going to hold it that extra second, I might as well hit you, and put it right between the 1 and the 7.
Jones is coming into the game with a bad shoulder. He was hit last week.
Well, that's not going to help.
And that doesn't help the shoulder recover. It's his right shoulder. Jones has to unload. No one is there. He just had to get rid of it.
Quincy Coleman had come up from the safety spot, John. He was coming off the edge, so this play had no chance of working because Coleman was right there. The whole premise of this play is to run play action here and hope that Coleman bites to the play action and comes in, but he doesn't buy it at all. No fake on the play action. Look at this. Jumps right out in Kahari Jones' face. He has no chance. And Coleman very lucky he didn't get called for the hand in the face.
I would say that that was pretty close when you look back to what happened to Terry Ray last week. Jones has time this time into double coverage and almost picked off. Nash had it in his hands.
Boy, he would have liked to have one there, wouldn't he, back against his old teammates.
Kamal Peterson was the intended receiver, and a little frustration there.
And I just love it when players who have been cut or traded, Harold Nash up here on the corner, watch how he just drops in this zone. He's reading the quarterback's eyes always back to the backfield. Flow to the football, time your jump, and Kamal Peterson really becomes DB, or he has his pick right there.
Bombers will settle for a 35-yard field goal attempt from Troy Westwood. Good on 13 of 16, his longest 47. And lots behind this one, but he's wide, and it sails through for a single. So a long way to go for the Bombers to settle for one. Live from Vancouver, Jason Maas drove for a touchdown last time. Wide open Tucker. He's gone. No way you'll catch Jason Tucker. Jason Bray, brand new in that Bombers secondary, beaten, and then he couldn't catch Tucker.
If Jason Maas can get some time, boy, this is going to be a tough night for the Winnipeg secondary. Terry Ray, the safety, plays to the eyes of Jason Maas and opens up to the opposite direction of Tucker. And you can see that Jason Bray beat by 1.5 yards. And it becomes 3 after Tucker has the ball. He accelerates away from Jason Bray in his first start as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber.
After the Westwood miss, the Eskimos score quickly. A 75-yard scoring play. Jason Tucker had a big catch earlier. Eskimos fumbled it away and didn't get away with any points from that 51-yard reception earlier. But Tucker off to a hot start tonight. He's got receptions of 51 and 75. And that touchdown you just saw there.
Well, you know, and Dave Ritchie's going to have to change things up defensively because he's got a makeshift secondary back there. Converted receiver and Marcus Howell playing the corner. Jason Bray, who just got burned on that last one in his first start as a Bomber. Marcus Smith, who's reeling from a hit from Terry Vaughn. And they're just hanging on back there right now against perennial all-stars. And right now, Mike Gorton is letting them know how he feels about what's happened. Now, what they may have to do in Winnipeg is go to some more zone defense to try and protect a makeshift secondary and make Jason Maas be patient with underneath throws, because if they leave him in one-on-ones against this receiving core, boy, watch out. This thing could add up in a hurry.
How about Jason Maas' evening thus far? 6 of 9, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Eskimos kick it off again. And there's a little running room on the side for Keith Stokes. Might that have bounced out on Stokes? How close it was to the sideline? I guess he had to grab it.
Well, he had to, because the Edmonton Eskimos were right there.
Well, I saw that.
That's an onside kick, basically.
At that point, certainly.
Yeah, call it a pooch kick. The Eskimos can take a shot at it, so yeah. You know, there's 2 theories. When you have a secondary that's either young or new, or your makeshift secondary because of injury, there's 2 theories. Blitz the quarterback and hope you get there before they get hurt, or play a lot of zone. Winnipeg might have to go to that zone.
Now, Harry Jones looks to respond here. He's taken a couple of hits already. And Charles Roberts has not had anywhere to go in the last couple of times that he's had his hands on the ball.
One thing for Charles Roberts that's a changeup is basically a glorified running play, which is to swing him out a little more and get him outside of containment and then just toss him the football.
So far it hasn't worked, Glenn. 4 carries for 9 yards.
Yeah, that's when he's running the ball on the handoffs. So maybe one way to counteract that is to dump it to him.
Hot start for the Eskimos. Harry Jones steps up. Will he get a chance to get it away? Well, he won't get it away. Stopped short of the first down as well. Caught from behind by Glenn Young on the final play of the opening quarter, and the Eskimos have put together the big plays. Tom Higgins' team looking to make it 3 straight wins to get back to 500.
Bombs away for the Edmonton Eskimos. 216 yards passing in 1 quarter of play. So if they have 3 more with over 200 yards, that's over 800 yards
I
passing
think that's a CFL record, right?
They're on pace for a CFL record.
Bombers have struggled. John Ryan, deep punts. Here's Winston October. And what a night October had against Hamilton. 101-yard punt return touchdown on the season against Hamilton. 298 yards and 1 touchdown in 1 game on special teams.
John, this is what the Bombers are dealing with. Marcus Howell, good athlete, but a converted receiver. This was a receiver that was in a backup role offensively. Now he's on the corner. Now Jason Bray, who had a coffee in Calgary, first start in Winnipeg, and now he's out there playing beside Marcus Howell.
Yeah, and he's been in Winnipeg 3 days, part of this Bomber organization.
Right, so that's about as inexperienced as you can get on one side.
Terry Ray takes a little shovel pass from Jason Maas, or Terry Vaughn, I should say.
Yeah, and then you go into the middle. Okay, you got Terry Ray, who's new really at the safety position.
His 3rd game.
Yeah, so Howell and Bray don't know each other, inexperienced, barely practiced together. Ricky Bell's been the consistency on that one side. And then Marcus Smith changed in and out over there in that corner, the injury to Eric Carter. So, boy, this is the real makeshift group.
This is 2nd and 5. Penalty markers are down. Herbie makes the catch and fights for the first down after making it.
Penalty flag came down. Lamar McGriggs was in the backfield. Came pretty hard on Jason Maas. That's why he's so curious as to what this call might be. There he is right there. Free off the edge. Mike Pringle went the opposite direction. There's a hit. Now, didn't get him in the head. But did he take an extra step?
Yeah, was it late?
First step.
Penalty declined. The Eskimos take the first down. Edmonton out across the 30 at the 33. Make it the 34. Field is a little slippery out there all of a sudden. Mike Pringle, the ball carrier there. There was rain in Edmonton this afternoon.
It's always tricky here, especially for the visiting team. That time it was Pringle, but 90% of the time the visiting team is the one that struggles with footwear. They were all out testing their shoes today, including Alfred Payton. Get used to what kind of footwear they would go with.
Talk about home field advantage, Glenn. The Eskimos have a 168 wins on this real grass at Commonwealth against 57 losses and 1 tie. Hervey is open and hit immediately by Smith. Marcus Smith making the tackle on Hervey, but it was after the first down yardage was gained.
More man-to-man defense from this Bomber secondary. If Jason Maas gets time to throw the football, you know, there's going to be some open receivers. I asked Ed Hervey about that, and he said, you know, we don't really go and pick on one individual. We don't work that way. We work our offensive system and take what the defense gives us, but make no mistake, we know who's over there, and we're going to try and make some big plays on him.
Mike Pringle's biggest run of the game. He'll have a first down as a marker flies on a penalty in the Eskimo backfield. Again, it's Marcus Smith who seems to be making every tackle for Winnipeg in this sequence.
Well, the upside for Marcus Smith and Marcus Howell is they will see the football tonight.
Holding. Edmonton, 67. First down repeated.
And if you're any kind of competitor, and you have to believe Marcus Smith, and certainly what I know of Marcus Howell over his 5 years in Winnipeg, he has that fire in his belly. If you're any type of competitor, you want the ball thrown in your area. You want the ball thrown to your man. You get more chances to make big plays. So Marcus Howell and Marcus Smith, get your track shoes on, because you're going to see the football tonight.
Holding call against Dan Comiskey, or wipes out a 14-yard pickup by Mike Pringle, and makes this 1st and 20. And the heat was on. The ball squirts loose, and the Eskimos have fumbled it for the second time, but this time they come up with the recovery as Alfred Payton.
Yeah, he was there. He was
in.
Close. And Alfred Payton's going to be disappointed that Jason Maas fumbled the ball. Alfred Payton thought he had his first sack as a Bomber versus the Ottawa Renegades. The play was sent to the league. He was in a combination tackle with Tom Canada, much like he was right there. And the league looked at it, decided not to overturn the sack to Tom Canada, gave it to him. Payton's still looking for his first sack as a Bomber. Of course, he's trying to catch Covington.
Rookie Joe McGrath came up with the fumble recovery, and this is a long way to go for a first down on 2nd and 34. Maas gets a little bit back here. It's Brock Ralph. But the Eskimos will be kicking, coming up about 15 yards short of a first down.
When Alfred Payton found out that that sack wasn't overturned, and a credit to him, he was very upset about it because they're so hard to come by, was his quote. And when you're this close to the title, you're 9 away from being the top of the list in all-time sacks, you get a little upset when you don't get credit for one, so he's got to go out and earn it.
And after 14 seasons, he is running out of time, 9 back of tying Grover Covington. Sean Fleming hasn't had a busy evening at all. Stokes breaks this one, flag down. As Stokes crosses into Eskimo territory, he's almost at the 35. We'll check out the infraction and return to Edmonton on Wendy's Friday Night Football. Bombers beginning from the 30-yard line. There was a blocking infraction on the return by Stokes, and so the Bombers are forced back into their own zone. Deeply, Robert Gordon back in the lineup after missing some games.
Yeah, and
he has 15.
He needed back there in a big way, because Robert Gordon, when I talked to him before the game, he brought up a good point. He said, you know, what we have to keep remember is that these small catches for 10, 15 yards at times are as important as the big long ones for touchdowns for 50 yards. He said, you know, if I can move the chains twice with little catches like that, I rest my defense.
Kahari Jones looking deep, and Stoddard goes down in the coverage. There is no flag there. Feet got tangled up with the defender, and no foul.
So Kahari Jones doesn't have success on second down here. Now the defense had a 3-play rest. And what Gordon was trying to tell me was, you know, we don't have to score every time, and no offense does that. But what we do is have to move the chains each time we have the ball, at least 2 or 3 times. Let our defense rest.
Second and long. Kahari Jones near side, and he'll get the first down on a nice route by Reggie Jones, who's missed some time in that Blue Bomber receiving core as well.
Timing pattern, and the timing between Kahari Jones, it's a simple deal. Got to throw the football. It's Reggie Jones coming out of his break. As he turns around, ball's right there.
An 11-yard gain as the Bombers approach midfield here now.
Well, the difference,
actually move a yard on the other side. Sorry.
The difference in this one so far is that the Bombers have had to, that's a second first down here, but they've had to sort of throw it underneath, 10-yard routes, and then the Eskimos get the ball, and it's one play. And they put some points on the board.
Nice throw by Jones on the connection with the other Jones. Kahari to Reggie. Early movement. Eskimos get back on side. Here's Roberts trying to turn the corner. Slices back in, and he'll get a Winnipeg first down. Charles Roberts with his best run of the ball game.
Singor Mobley's quickness really saved safety Quincy Coleman's mistake. Coleman had snuck up and wanted to come on a blitz. He in fact tried to time it up perfectly, and then he got caught almost offside, so he jumped back out. When he jumped out, he got caught and hooked, so he was blocked to the outside, but Singor Mobley quickly flashed outside and limited the gain to Charles Roberts.
Forced him in, and A.J. Gass was there and waiting with a little help from Albert Reese. Close enough to measure.
It's a small thing, but it could have been a big play. Coleman was the containment responsibility player, and he lost containment, and his teammate bailed him out and limited the gain.
Blue Bombers just a little shy of the first down. Trailing the Eskimos 14-1.
Watch him coming through, okay? I gotta go get him.
They'll get the first down as Robert Gordon made the catch. Interesting choice of calls there on 2nd and inches.
And maybe to set something up for down the road. That's a couple of hitch passes to Robert Gordon on the outside. Now they're going to have to measure this one, because I think Gordon took a step back behind the line of scrimmage. I have to take a look at it, but that's one thing you can do. Early in the game, a couple of hitch passes to the outside sets up what becomes the hitch and go for a big play.
Half an inch shy. So it'll be 3rd down. And they'll have a different formation for this gamble.
This is Jones behind Elwanibi.
I don't think there's any question about
That's
that.
exactly what this is.
Just one exchange. Don't take a chance on the fumble. Send it to quarterback and follow me through. We only need an inch. Eskimo fans make a little noise as the Blue Bombers go gambling here in a critical 3rd down situation. early movement and flags fly.
Kahari Jones uses cadence well to draw the Edmonton Eskimos offside.
Offside, Edmonton, number 90. First down.
Raheem Abdullah. But on 3rd and inches, it's virtually impossible to stop this situation. So the defense guesses a little bit, and Abdullah got caught and gave the Bombers the automatic first down. This works well. Charles Roberts. A couple of nice runs in this sequence for the Bombers' leading rusher, averaging 5.9 yards per carry, 338 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns coming in.
Now this has been the problem for Charles Roberts in this offense all season long, or at least in the time they've lost games, and that's success in the red zone. They're in it again.
First down, Bombers at the 20. Harry Jones misses on his first crack at it. Reggie Jones looked to be the intended receiver, number 87.
Let me
Peterson was there too, sorry.
Illustrate what I was talking about. In the 3 losses, 12 opportunities in the red zone, just 2 touchdowns, 16.7%. In the 2 wins, 6 opportunities, 4 touchdowns. There is your difference, folks, in winning and losing. When you get inside the 20, do you come away with majors or do you attempt field goals? Now, the answer probably for Winnipeg is number 1. Get Charles Roberts the football down here somehow.
Around the 10-yard line where the Blue Bombers moved because there was illegal contact on a Bomber receiver away from the play. So Kahari Jones is close enough. Can he make it himself? Jones heads to the end zone, head down, and a huge crash. Jones is up, and he won the battle, or at least it looks like he did, with Mobley.
Well, he got up in a hurry.
Signor Mobley.
Man, that was solid contact right down the goal line. He tried to make another move, and that one more cost him a big hit. You got to give credit to Kahari Jones down here. Look at that solid hit by Harold Nash.
It is Nash 37, you're right.
Yeah, he steps up, and boy, Kahari jumped up in a hurry and got right back to that huddle. Although for a second I thought he was going towards the defensive huddle and then changed directions.
2nd and 2. The Blue Bombers are at the Eskimo 3. Flags down, and Roberts is too. Wrapped up in a hurry, and Mobley was in there along with Kelvin Kinney.
Let's go right back to that hit one more time, and full credit to Kahari Jones. This is one of those solid ones. Doesn't look spectacular, but this is the hardest type of hit you can experience.
Eskimos were offside.
Oh man, you see his head snap back like that. He got up, ran towards the Edmonton huddle, and then adjusted his course and got back to the huddle he was supposed to be in.
Eskimos offside on the last play, so Jones has a crack at it. 3 shots at it from the 2-yard line here. And not this time for Roberts. He might have lost a little territory.
Well, when I say the answer probably is to get it to Charles Roberts, it's probably a higher probability of success if it's outside the tackles. Charles Roberts.
That's his game, isn't it?
Yeah, Charles Roberts from tackle to tackle is going to have some tough running in there against Abdullah, Reese, Kinney, and Charbonneau. But if he can somehow bounce to the outside or catch one of those little swing passes, then he's got a chance.
Here's a critical play for the Blue Bombers in the red zone. They lost a yard, so it's 2nd and goal to go from the 3. Jones puts it up, and no one is home. Looking for Stiegel. And so now what do you do when you're desperate for a touchdown, desperate to figure out a way to win this game? Do you take your 3 points here and admit defeat in the red zone one more time?
You got to.
Yeah,
you got to. I mean, anytime you're down there, you've got to come away with some points. And as tempting as it must have been there for Dave Ritchie, you've got to go ahead and kick the field goal. I mean, you're talking about 3 yards. That's about 3 miles right now to that offense.
They tried the running play 3 times in that area and never had much success. So here is Troy Westwood. Missed his first. Sharp angle here. And he's got his second field goal. Westwood accounting for all the Blue Bomber points so far. They trail by 10. Pringle trying to turn the corner on first down. And Tom Canada was there. So was
John,
Wickman.
And year after year, this football team is competitive. And sometimes, more than not, it's not only competitive, but it's one of the tops in the West. And it's a credit to the organization that they continue to build on their success. And that's why the fans come and watch a good football team night after night here at Commonwealth.
3 yards for Pringle, 2nd and 7 for the Eskimos. 2:37 till halftime. Jason Maas. Touchdown, Herbie. And Herbie has a couple tonight. A 31-yarder there, Maas to Herbie. It's happened a couple of times. Herbie's 3rd touchdown of the season.
Well, now you really have to think about the possibility of a record-setting game for the Edmonton offense. I mean, it's pitch and catch right now, and look what happens when there's no one here. Guess what? If there's no one in the middle of the field, quarterbacks are going to throw the football there. Ed Hervey goes up. Marcus Smith goes down. Touchdown, Edmonton.
31-yard touchdown for Herbie. His first, covered 18 yards. And it's another long night for the Blue Bombers as Jason Maas celebrates his 3rd touchdown. Welcome back to Commonwealth, an aerial display by the Eskimos. Tom Higgins calls his receiving corps as good a group as there is in the CFL, and doesn't figure that you can really double any of his starting receivers because somebody is going to get open. Vaughn has had a nice night already. Hervey, of course, has got the 2 touchdowns.
No, you just bring your track shoes. You just have to come out and get ready to run, because we saw 2 great receiving corps last night in BC Place, and there's another one tonight, the Edmonton Eskimo jerseys.
Short kick coming down at the 35. Keith Stokes. Gas is there, along with Robert Grant.
Well, let's show you why the middle was wide open. Terry Ray, the safety, is normally the guy back there. Now, Jason Tucker is right here with Herbie. Herbie's going to run that post, but Tucker ends up blocking, so that leaves 3 receivers out the left side of the formation. Mookie Mitchell, Terry Vaughn, and you got a wideout out there as well. So now that's why Terry Ray, the safety, will see how far he's come over to the hash mark. He's all the way over to the wide side of the field, leaving the backside open in a one-on-one with Marcus Smith and Ed Hervey. That's why there's no one back here. Terry Ray's gone. Jason Maas recognizes it, throws backside post. Easy touchdown for Hervey.
And on the return, a face masking call goes against the Eskimos, so the Bombers move inside Edmonton territory and start from the 46. 2:22 to go till halftime. Charles Roberts inside, and this play hasn't worked real well. Albert Reese there to make the tackle.
And we've talked about Charles Roberts, and Charles Roberts is obviously involved in this game plan, not having a whole bunch of success yet against the Edmonton defense, but he's seeing the football. You know who's not? Milt Stegall.
That's true.
And you talk about, you know, big play receivers and where are you going to get those big plays. Somehow Kahari Jones has to get the ball to 85. Somehow.
Just 1 catch. He hasn't enough yardage for a first down yet. 9 yards on his only reception. Stoddard has made a couple.
And John, I've been watching closely. that secondary for the Eskimos as well, and they're not doubling Miltstiegel. They're not, you know, we used to call it vice, where you take a linebacker and play inside and double him there, and then have a defensive back over top, have Malcolm Frank, the corner, maybe go high and cover him there, and then, but they're not doing that. They're leaving it in one-on-ones right now.
Jamie Stoddard had 11 yards on the previous play. Good for a Blue Bomber first down. Kahari Jones brings it down, and what a great catch there. And there you go. There's Miltstiegel.
Yeah, and there it is, and that's what you can get out of Stiegel. A key situation. He moves the sticks once more, and he was falling down. He went to do the curl and then go back outside.
Lost his footing.
Yeah, and then still made a tremendous catch.
That's the turf at Commonwealth. The Eskimos are usually upright. The visiting team is often struggling to find footing. Kahari Jones, wide open target on the far side, and it's Stoddard again. So he's got a couple of catches in this drive. Quincy Coleman got over to make the tackle. Here we go. Red zone again.
Okay, red zone again, but look what Kahari Jones had. Miltstiegel one-on-one. Garrett, Shannon Garrett in the middle. Look, he's got inside position, got him on the post. That's a touchdown. Look the other way.
1st and 10. The Bombers are at the Eskimo 11. Pump fake, end zone toss, slipped in the end zone. Stiegel.
There it was. John, remember we talked. Robert Gordon hit screen. Robert Gordon hit screen. This time, fake the hit screen to Robert Gordon and try and get Stiegel in back. They tried to set it up. Stiegel was there. He was open, and they couldn't get the football to him. There's the pump fake to Gordon. Kahari Jones gets smacked, and that's why he can't throw an accurate pass, and Stiegel hook slides at the back of the end zone. He was open briefly.
2nd and 10. The Bombers have been down inside the 5 once and come up empty. Into double coverage, and Stiegel was the intended receiver again. Shannon Garrett.
What was
AJ Gass back in coverage too.
What was he doing back there? What was AJ Gass doing at the back of the end zone? He covered a lot of ground to go and help out on that. And look at AJ Gass. I mean, here, look at him. There's a linebacker in the middle of the field, and look how much ground he will cover. As he drops back out of there, reading the eyes, Kahari Jones, he picks up the man. He says, well, I might as well come back and make it a tougher throw on Stiegel. He's bandaged up in there, isn't he?
Yes, he is. That created the double coverage, and the Bombers will settle for another 3, and they get it.
Red zone problems one more time.
One more time. Winnipeg within 2 touchdowns now. This will be a first down on 2nd down, and 4 Mike Pringle escapes. So everything works for the Eskimos. The passing game has created 3 touchdowns. Terry Ray had to come up and make the stop on Pringle after a 15-yard gain.
Nice job up front. Couple of things. This offensive line in Edmonton has done a nice job protecting for Jason Maas, but that's pretty good block by Kevin Lusrud, who opens it up. He slides across.
Maas near side, and he has Hervey again. Another first down. Pitch and catch for Maas and Hervey.
You know, and Lusrud again. You talk about Lusrud, Chris Morris out there. You know, we haven't heard from Alfred Payton at all. And we know how motivated Alfred Payton is. Go across that board. Big boys up front. Bill McNamara is doing a nice job preparing them. All Canadian offensive line and protected Jason Maas. He can throw the deep ball.
Just 4 sacks allowed all season by the Eskimos up front on offense. Terry Vaughn made the catch. Not much yardage afterwards. Marcel Smith making the tackle there. There's a Marcel Smith, number 21, and a Marcus Smith, number 31.
John, if over 80%, 353, you can't do that without protection. And that offensive line is providing the protection Jason Maas needs to complete the deep ball.
Big help that Chris Morris is back and healthy. Up front, Maas under the coverage this time, and it's Pringle. In the open field, cut from behind by Maurice Kelly. And more problems for the Bombers coming here, I think, as a penalty marker goes down. In fact, 2 of them.
John, again, this was a situation where Alfred Payton knew Edmonton wanted to throw the football. Big Chris Morris in his 13th season, one-on-one on Alfred Payton. Did a real nice job of shutting it down. Look right over here. Here you go. Here's your matchup. Alfred Payton, Chris Morris. And watch how the play decided to go right at him. Morris takes him wide, holds him with that left hand, opens up Pringle on the outside. Mo Kelly can't get there, and they'll tack some more on. Bombers get another penalty.
Against Maurice Kelly and the Eskimos with 8 seconds left till halftime are inside the 15. And they'll set up for a field goal first of the night, as far as attempts are concerned, for Sean Fleming, because they've been scoring touchdowns all evening.
Yeah, but he wants to break out of this thing.
Fleming has struggled a little bit. 2 of 4 against Hamilton in the victory 2 weeks ago.
Nice little chip shot will help him along that way.
He's got it. Near perfection for the Eskimos offensively in the opening half at Commonwealth.
Well, they've done what we thought they might, and that's take advantage of a makeshift secondary with the deep ball. That offensive line has controlled the line of scrimmage. That was really Dave Ritchie's only hope. He knew his problems in the secondary. I shouldn't say problems, maybe challenges is the best way to say it. But the front 7 could bail out the secondary with some pressure. But it's not happening because Tom Higgins' boys up front on offense are shutting the door. Chris Morris has controlled Alfred Payton tonight so far.
The importance of this game cannot really be understated. One very happy team will leave this stadium around 11 o'clock local time tonight and be only too happy to be back to even at 3-3. 2-4 is the record of the loser in this one tonight, and that makes it a long way back to try and get to a playoff spot. Reggie Jones makes a catch on the final play of the opening half. Jason Maas, the story of a very successful Eskimo offense, and the numbers that he has put up over 300, 365, and 3 touchdowns. The score at the half.
Try and help Kahari Jones. If he can run the ball successfully like this, it may take a little of that pressure off him, and he may not take quite as many hits as he did in the first half.
Gain is 6, 2nd and 4, Winnipeg. Now at the Eskimo 35, Jones puts it up, and he'll get almost a first down on a connection with Milt Stiegel.
Well, they're marking it right at the line too, John, right at that 30-yard line, but guess where they're headed for?
Well, they're headed for the red zone, and all of a sudden the Bombers might be thinking about this area.
And this is something, you know, some teams call it the green zone.
Because that's good, right? You get in scoring range.
Green means go, red means stop. And it's been the stop zone for the Bombers this season.
Flags are down on first down, Winnipeg. Roberts makes the catch, slides out of the backfield.
Got a flag down.
And Shannon Garrett makes the tackle.
That was a free play for Kahari Jones. Blitz was coming from the outside from the secondary for the Edmonton Eskimos, and I believe they'll be called on the offside. And that's when offensively, you get that free play. It's a delayed offside.
Edmonton, number 25. First down, repeated.
Kahari Jones likely wished he had a different play called, because he had the screen call, but he got the free play when Coleman was offside, but he didn't have the deep patterns called.
So it'll be 1st and 5, Blue Bombers at the Eskimo 25. Was too tight. Kamal Peterson couldn't make the catch. Donnie Brady supplying the coverage there. Brady's made some plays tonight.
He has a nice one over the middle. Kahari Jones wanted to go to the backside, but here's the difference between the Edmonton Eskimos playing the Winnipeg receiving corps. See Shannon Garrett on the outside. You're going to see Singor Mobley on the inside. That's called a vice. See, there's double team right there. That's the difference. They can double Milt. Can't double the Edmonton receivers.
2nd and 5, out pattern far side, and Gordon makes the catch. Another penalty marker goes down. It's on the far side of the field, across the line of scrimmage.
This is where Robert Gordon has to really help this offense out and win his one-on-one battles, because he knows if they're doubling Stiegel like they did once more, then it's up to him. Now he's got the one-on-one, so he can go ahead and try and take advantage of that, because on the backside of this play, guess what? Milt Stiegel double team again.
Edmonton number 26 decline. First down.
And that sets the Blue Bombers up inside the 10-yard line. They're inside that red zone again. And they've been there on 2 previous occasions and not been able to get into the end zone for 6.
Now that 13th man in Commonwealth gets into a chanting defense.
The chorus is well organized in this stadium. First crack at it for Kahari Jones, and he comes up empty looking for Roberts. And he got some more heat. You know, so now the pressure just continues to build on this Blue Bomber offense to try and get there.
Well, and people are probably wondering, like, why is it bogged down when they get down in this end zone area? Look, Stiegel double covered again. This time it's Gas, and he's just getting roughed up on the double team. The rest of the guys have to open. You don't have to respect the deep threat and the speed of Stiegel as much when you're down inside your own red zone.
So it is 2nd and goal to go for the Blue Bombers. Jones lobs it into the end zone. No catch. Stiegel had his hands on it. And you can see the frustration building in this Blue Bomber team.
John Kahari Jones could not believe his eyes. He finally got Milt Stiegel in a one-on-one. He's the inside guy here, and he realizes right at the snap of the football, he went, oh, they couldn't do the double team here. It's one-on-one. Shannon Garrett on my go-to guy. I got to get him the football, but got to give Shannon Garrett credit. Got his left hand in there and didn't quit on it. Pulled it out.
So again, the Bombers come up empty. And Westwood comes in. Westwood is 3 for his last 3, but the Bombers aren't going to catch up to the Eskimos with field goals. Upon further review, a look back to the sack by the Eskimos, and it looks like a tie getting to the quarterback.
Well, it certainly was an all-out race. Kelvin Kinney. Charbonneau was there at 98.
It's pretty close.
I think that was a dead tie. That was
half a quarterback each.
Dead heat.
There you go.
There it is.
Shovel pass. Mike Pringle
well,
across the 50.
Jason Maas now holds the record for consecutive completions in a game.
Little shovel pass.
And a shovel pass is the one that puts him over. He actually threw an underhand to break Joe Powell's record. And they're just making the announcement in Commonwealth Stadium.
Standing ovation for Jason Maas. And why not? He's had a wonderful night. 19 straight completions.
Make it
20. 20. And Tucker was involved early. Tucker involved again. And not quite to the end zone, but Jason Tucker makes a huge difference to this Eskimo offense. He is the leading receiver so far this season. And when you look at the way that the Eskimos spread it around, he is only 10th in the league coming into the game.
Tucker across the middle. Terry Ray's up tight. The free safety. He's going to go on a blitz. That leaves man-to-man, and it's Jason Bray, who's been victimized a couple of times. Both him and Marcus Smith having a tough night in that Bomber secondary. Tucker down to what about the 1-yard line? That's number 20 in a row.
1st and goal to go for the Eskimos from that 1-yard line. And Jason Maas adds a touchdown to his total on the evening. All those completions in a row, a touchdown and 3 touchdown passes, a couple to Hervey. Jason Tucker had a 75-yard touchdown as well.
Well, he broke Joe Palpau's record. Now, how much will he break it by is the question.
Well, that record has been around for a while, too.
Yeah.
Eskimos are running away with one on their home turf at Commonwealth. It's 31-10. Eskimos have their hands on the football again. Pringle had his hands on it. The play was whistled out. There'll be a procedure call against Jason Maas, and that's the only thing that's gone wrong for Maas and the Eskimos on offense in a long, long time in this one tonight.
And it may take them out of the running game here now because they have to go back to 1st and 15. So Maas can likely add to his totals here and the consecutive completions in a game total. He's sitting at 20 right now.
Good on 21 of 23. 411 yards. 3 touchdowns so far. 21 in a row. Mike Pringle makes the catch, sliding out of the backfield, and he's dropped in his tracks at the 40. Terry Ray has to come up. Talked about the rain at Commonwealth, and there's the turf monster rearing its head there again.
When this turf and natural grass gets wet, the advantage goes to the offense. And that's because they know where they're going to go. They know where they're going to cut. This was earlier today on 3:30, and it was a downpour. Top of this field soaking wet, and now it's advantage offense.
Long toss. He's got another one. An incredible catch. Or was it the interception there? Brock Ralph. I thought that Maas had it.
They haven't
Brock
ruled.
Ralph. They haven't ruled. Yes, they are calling it a catch.
Well, they're going to move the football. They are calling it a catch now. A simultaneous catch goes to the offense. So if Marcus Howell and Brock Ralph were fighting for that, if they both had their hands on it, simultaneous catch goes to the offense. And Dave Ritchie cannot catch a break. And the completion record continues for Jason Maas. So right now, Howell's in there, but Brock Ralph's got his hands on it. That's simultaneous catch, and that goes to the offense.
And that's 21 straight completions for Jason Maas.
In fact, I think Howell came in late. If anything, he was trying to strip it out of there as a fumble, but Brock Ralph went down. Oh!
Maas goes down, lost the ball, and the Bombers come up with it. That's a couple of fumbles for Maas on the evening, and the Bombers were unable to take advantage of the first one.
That's
also
a turf
in the Winnipeg
monster.
End of the field.
That's the turf monster on Jason Maas. He just could not get his footing from start to finish on this one. He wants to just do a little half roll and then pull up here. And when he goes out there, he tries to put the brakes on right now, and whoa, loses his footing. Now he thinks he can still get one done. And then it just all falls apart for the Edmonton quarterback, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers catch a break, and boy, do they desperately need one right now.
There have been times when the Bombers have moved the ball effectively, but they've been inside Eskimo territory and not been able to punch it into the end zone. Roberts is wrapped up by A.J. Gass. And a frustrating night for the Bomber running back, no question.
You know, Gass has been around the ball a ton tonight, and he's all bandaged up. He's been one of those guys that has made his presence known at the line of scrimmage and back in the secondary.
Gain is 2, 2nd and 8. Kahari Jones has Kamal Peterson, and he falls down crossing midfield.
This is one of
Pinned
those.
there by Grant.
Sorry, John. This is one of those games, though, for Edmonton that every one of the Eskimos can't wait to get back on the field, whether you're on offense, defense, special, doesn't matter. You want to get on the field, and this is where Winnipeg, boy, some of those guys in the Bombers right now are saying,
Can I go home?
well, they have to battle through it because there's lots of football to play, and they're not out of it.
31-10. They need 3 touchdowns to get even. No catch for Jamie Stoddard, who made a couple earlier.
But, you know, one guy that deserves some credit here in my mind is Kahari Jones. That first half, he was absolutely rocked, play after play.
At least 3 times he really took solid hits in the first half.
He has stood in there. He jumped up after all of those big hits. He's taken all kinds of criticism. He's been pulled from 2 games. He's hanging around, and that was a perfect throw that was dropped by his receiver.
Jones to the far side. And Robert Gordon was the intended target that time. No connection. Winnipeg kicks it away. As John Ryan trots onto the field.
Wow. That's the football head mascot. They call
Well, he's
him.
got speed too, Glenn.
Oh, he's angry. Watch out. They call him punter, but I guess if. Whoa!
Oh.
The takedown. Now, you know, I'm not sure the way that it's going for the Bombers secondary. If the football was that big, they'd get a knockdown tonight.
And the troubles continue for Winnipeg. Abdullah was there. John Ryan didn't get it away. And the turnover goes to the Eskimos in the final play of the 3rd quarter.
Well, it's gone all over the field for Jason Maas, who has 469 yards passing and 22 consecutive completions. I'm losing count now.
Well, and it's tough to keep track of this as he's established a CFL record. Talk about record breakers. Mike Pringle continues to move toward the all-time rushing record established by George Reed so many years ago. He has 41 yards tonight and began the evening 560 yards shy of Reed's all-time record of 16,116.
But he's healthy. As long as he stays that way, he'll get it this year.
2nd and 5. Eskimos.
Blitz coming.
Maas
There it
has
is.
it end. 22 straight completions, and he one-hopped that one for Ed Hervey. And I'm sure Jason Maas has no idea about the record that he has established earlier here tonight.
Well, they did announce it, but you're right. I don't know that he hears it out on the field. But 22 consecutive for Jason Maas tonight. Blitz there ends the streak in this one. 41, the record in a game, again held by Dieter Brock of Winnipeg in 81 and Ken Austin in 93. To get on that list at all in the record book, he's going to need at least 39 completions tonight.
Well, he's got another one there.
How about that?
A little fake off the field goal formation. And Matthew Bertrand.
It's an interesting, it's an interesting play for a couple reasons. When they get the first down, they do the little bit of acting from Jason Maas there as he tries to pretend that he's trying to organize everything and then takes a snap and throws a completion. The other thing it does, though, is every team now scouts against it. So every team now that's watched that play says, well, now this is another 5 minutes of our practice. We have to defend against the fake, the Edmonton Eskimos.
It's a good fake. 31-10, Eskimos leading the Blue Bombers. Mike Pringle for 5 more at least. And in the middle of things there for Winnipeg, John Oosterhoofs.
Quite a night for Jason Maas. And, you know, when he started this season, a little bit of rust, not necessarily his fault that the Eskimos started 0-3. They had some injuries on defense, which was a big part of the problem. Jason Maas just kept getting better with every rep. But He's put it on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tonight.
Eskimos have won 2 in a row. Another touchdown toss. Yes! Daryl Mitchell catches 1 a game. They all go for touchdowns. 1 catch in the previous 2 games for Daryl Mitchell. And both of those went for touchdowns. His first catch tonight, and there's another 6.
See the blitz coming from the right side of the formation. Danny Machocha with the nice call to roll away from that pressure, and what a throw from Jason Maas up over the top. Got to get Daryl Mitchell involved in the fun. Ed Hervey's had a couple. Jason Tucker's had a big game. Get Daryl Mitchell involved. And let's not forget how Terry Vaughn started this baby with that big hit across the middle.
Daryl Mitchell, 3 touchdown catches in his last 3 games, and Jason Maas celebrates even more championships for Moon and the Eskimos back in that era.
Right in the bio for Casey Printers, he says that one of the quarterbacks he admired growing up was Warren Moon. What a night for Jason Maas, the Edmonton Eskimos. And speaking of quarterbacks and having some success, how about his night? The season numbers for Maas, his completion percentage has climbed in a hurry, now up to 68.3 after a big night tonight. There's Casey Printers, who we've talked about with the Moon comparison, and Calvillo, Allen, and Kerry Joseph on that list.
Jason, the weapon of Maas destruction tonight, as far as the Blue Bombers are concerned. CFL record of consecutive completions established. And with 8:27 to go, will he finish this game, or will the Eskimos look elsewhere to get someone else a little quarterbacking experience?
Yeah, well, Bart Hendricks probably comes in the game, you know, and that would be a smart move by Tom Higgins, just to get him some reps and get him some snaps out there. Jason Maas, it's an outside shot, but had his eyes probably, well, he won't know the records there, but Matt Dunnigan's 713 yards. He needed to get about 587 to get on the list in the book. Sam Etcheverry third at 587. Danny Barrett at 601. He was with the Lions in '93, and then 713 for Matt Dunnigan.
That was in 1994. He was a Bomber and tossed them those yards, 713 against the Eskimos.
Here's the list we're talking about, and Jason Maas was climbing up that list in a hurry. He still has his helmet on. .713 and 94 for Matt Dunnigan. I talked to him about that game. Alfred Jackson, his go-to receiver, had over 300 yards that game. He said he probably could have put 900 on the board. There was 2 or 3 drop passes. He missed a couple of receivers by a few inches, he said, or that one could have been much higher total. Danny Barrett at 601 and 93. So Jason Maas was tracking him down.
Kevin Glenn at quarterback for the Bombers, and having less success at moving this football team than Kahari Jones. Let's bring in Ryan Rashad.
Guys, quarterback Jason Maas getting very close to setting an Eskimo record for passing yards, 555, held by Warren Moon. So chances are they will leave him in the ball game. They know here on the sidelines that he is close to that record.
Well, there you go. That's great. So they've been informed how close Jason Maas is to a couple of records. One of the Eskimos. It's great to leave him in the game.
Kevin Glenn, and nowhere near his intended receiver, Reggie Jones.
You know, and then it always comes up in a game like this, you know, should the Eskimos call off the Dogs and, you know, and let Dave Ritchie a little bit off the hook and just sort of stop it right here. You know, and as a former player, I say no. I say, you know what, if you can't stop them, then let them keep scoring.
Bombers finally get to the end zone. Kamal Peterson on the receiving end of the toss from Kevin Glenn. And what they did that time is they avoided the red zone completely.
Yeah,
and work from outside the 25-yard line.
And this will just stir things up even more in Winnipeg, that even though the game is in control for the Edmonton Eskimos, then Kevin Glenn comes in and has some success and throws a touchdown pass when Kahari Jones couldn't. So that begins the talk again in Winnipeg. However, the intensity defensively from the Edmonton Eskimos now, as opposed to the first 3 quarters, at a very different level. And Greg Marshall will remind them to keep playing until the game's over. But the bottom line is, that's just human nature. When you have such a big lead, you let up a little bit, you give the guys a little more room, and you back off. And that's Kamal Peterson runs a nice pattern, gets in the end zone. Credit to him. But success of Kevin Glenn, you have to keep it in perspective, I guess is the best way to say it.
38-17, and the Bombers' first touchdown.
Having said that, a nice throw for Kevin Glenn to roll to his left. And
29 yards, and Kamal Peterson made a move to get into the end zone because the Blue Bombers had been around the 3-yard line a couple of times and failed to score the major. So that was likely important too for a team struggling in the red zone.
And Jason Maas keeps the gun warm down on the Edmonton sideline. Winnipeg will try the onside kick. The hands team on for the Eskimos, meaning a few more receiver types.
That was flagged down. The Bombers took it deep.
So Warren Moon comes up for a different reason in this game tonight, as Jason Maas tries to track down the Edmonton passing record.
It was established by Moon. 555 yards.
And you got to credit Jason Maas too, because Dave Randorf mentioned it at the break. He had to wait for Ricky Ray and follow in his footsteps. And Ricky Ray, this town pretty excited for a couple of years here in Edmonton, and that was tough for Jason Maas to come in and try and pick up where he left off.
Here's Winston October picking his way across the 45 and hammered out at the 50-yard line. So that's where Maas and the Eskimos will begin this drive. 6:52 on the clock, 38-17 Edmonton on the scoreboard, and the numbers on Jason Maas approaching 500 with 4 touchdowns, and Maas also has a touchdown run from a yard out himself. Good for the Eskimos start at the 50-yard line. First team is still in there for Edmonton, including Jason Maas. And more yards to the total.
Much more.
Yes, sir. Terry Vaughn. And Vaughn has come back with a nice night after beginning this evening with only 189 yards on 17 catches.
There he is right here. Take a look at little Vaughn magic. Just finds a hole. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are just dropping off in some zone now.
26 yards for Terry Vaughn. A couple more for Mike Pringle.
I'll tell you an example. An example I want to talk about with regards to when I was referring to whether or not you call off the dogs and don't basically run up the score. One time playing in Saskatchewan, Baltimore, and Mike Pringle was a member of that football team, and we were getting it handed to us in that game. And Pringle started, and that offense started with the ball back on their own 5-yard line and proceeded to rush the ball all the way down to our 1-yard line, and then they kneeled twice.
More for Maas. Ed Hervey making the catch. It is another first down.
And John, they rushed the ball. They never threw a pass in the series. As a defense, we couldn't stop them. It was one of the most humiliating times I think I was in a Defensive huddle, frustration, no question. We all wanted to fight somebody. Got down to the 1 yard line. They kneeled twice so they wouldn't rub in the score.
Yeah.
That drove me nuts. I almost went over there and pulled him in the end. So that, you
take the 6.
Yeah,
you've earned it.
You've earned it. And you know what? We can't stop you. So we better be better next week. And that's just professional pride coming through. But I say you just keep pouring it on. And then Winnipeg can't stop you, then they got to go back to the drawing board.
And that's what Pringle is doing on this particular drive. Tom Higgins had a tough start, as everyone knows, after winning Coach of the Year and the Grey Cup in 2003. The Eskimos couldn't win for losing in the first 3 weeks. Back-to-back wins over BC and Hamilton and a bye last week, and the Eskimos are on the urge of a 500 season again. With victory tonight, Edmonton would be 3-3. Interestingly enough, the Eskimos started last season at 3-3 and won the Grey Cup.
Now Maas is 30 yards away from Warren Moon's record,
and he's running the ball.
And even if he threw a touchdown pass now, he wouldn't get it. He's inside the 30, obviously, and they're running the football. So he'd have to get another series and at least a couple more throws to get Moon's record, the Edmonton Eskimos.
3:27 to go. And the Eskimos are handing it to the Bombers at Commonwealth this evening.
1983, Warren Moon set the mark.
And again, it's Pringle on the ground.
Right now, Jason Maas at 5:26. Moon in 83. It was an October night. Threw for 5:55.
What kind of an evening was that?
The one that
was it a clear October
The one a
evening?
defensive back tries to forget.
3 minutes to go, and a long night for the Blue Bombers, and an amazing night for this Eskimo offense. Here's the game story tonight, brought to you by Sport Check, proud supporter of the CFL. We've simplified it a little bit here with only 3 categories.
There's your game story. Let's just circle it up. Jason Maas, what a night. 5:26. That's sandwiched. He's in second place behind Warren Moon.
3 receivers over 100 yards. Second down, Edmonton. Into the final 3 minutes now. Pringle has been responsible for most of the yards on this drive. And in some ways, it looks like the Eskimos have called off the horses a little bit.
Well, they're going to keep running it down in that end of the field, no question.
Another tough night for the Blue Bombers, and the pressure continues to mount on the head coach and the struggle the Bombers have been having. That's the CEO of Winnipeg, Lyle Bauer, who is contemplating some decisions, I'm guessing, just as a result of what we've heard all season long. And the Bombers struggle this season, dropping now to 2-4.
Here's the bottom line, though. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers need an airlift. You know, and that's we used to say that back in the Regina days. They need an airlift. They need a parachute in some players. And they probably have to start in the secondary and bring in some guys that can cover, some guys that have grown up and their trade has been defensive back. That's a start. Now, I'm going to stay consistent on this. And I know the expectations in Winnipeg, but I have never felt in my 10 years up here in the booth that firing a coach in the middle of the season helps you. I have never felt that there's an advantage in doing that because you're starting all over. Now, I do understand that you have to answer to the fans, the people buying the tickets. And that's what Lyle Bauer is thinking, I'm sure. But they need some players and they need some talent in that back end.
And Dave Ritchie is not the only person responsible for the season that the Bombers are going through right now, dropping to 2 wins and 4 losses. Back-to-back losses again. It looks
internet without trackers, without malware-ridden files. Zen. Be more cyber zen. Get NordVPN.
Wendy's Friday Night Football, Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. John Wells and Glenn Sutter watching the Bombers, and Kevin Glenn at the controls. It'll be a first down. Middle linebacker A.J. Gass. 2nd and 5. Blue Bombers. Another completion for Kevin Glenn.
Now, that was a solid backup in Chris Morris. I mean, he was solid runner-up for tonight's Gladiator. And back-to-back Friday night footballs. The middle linebacker has become our Gladiator. Kevin Johnson in Montreal last Friday night. So Chris Morris had a great night. And you know why? Because we haven't talked about Alfred Payton other than the opening as a storyline coming in.
And Mike Pringle ran effectively behind him on that last drive for sure. Chris Morris had been out of the lineup a bit. Little shake and bake from Milt Stegall on a connection from Kevin Glenn. And the numbers on Milt Stegall are not typical of this guy's style. 6 for 79 now, but he hasn't been able to get in behind that Eskimo secondary consistently tonight.
Well, until one of the other receivers, Kamal Peterson, Robert Gordon, doesn't matter which one, until one of them come up with 120, 130, 150-yard game, it's going to be tough for Winnipeg because Stegall is drawing a ton of attention every game.
Kevin Glenn, and he just missed Kamal Peterson down the near sideline. Peterson has the lone Blue Bomber touchdown, 1:23 to go.
Teams coming out of the bye have had success. I believe they're 4-1 or in around there. That Edmonton Eskimos got a chance to come out of the bye. They coming off 2 wins, so while they're practicing all week, they're confident. That continues to grow, and they're healthy, rested. And remember what happened to the Bombers last week against the BC Lions, and that breakdown really and lack of discipline from the Bombers as they kind of came unraveled in that one. They had to fight back from that. They had to fight back from the loss and play a fresh team on a 2-game winning streak.
Yeah, and you look at what happened to the Bombers in that unraveling last week against BC. This is all part of what's going on in Winnipeg, where there's all the discussion about what the future of the coach is going to be and where the next steps are. Would you agree?
Well, and it trickles downhill
right into the locker room, and the players feel all of the pressure that the coach and the coaching staff is feeling.
Well, because if there is a coaching change, it affects the players. You know, because if there is a change at the head coach level, the assistant coaches are then the next ones you look at, and then it's the players. And so no one's job is secure if that's what's the talk is. But again, it's a lot of reasons why the Bombers have struggled this year. Dave Ritchie.
Touchdown toss, yes, as Roberts comes up with that one. So Kevin Glenn has come in and engineered 2 touchdowns late in the game when the Eskimo defense is perhaps a little lax out there.
Yeah, it's a night and day difference. It really is. And you know, you try and keep the intensity up, and you know, you do that. But it's the same thing as when, you know, you look at a team that goes into the playoffs, you watch a playoff game and you say, boy, that was a different level of intensity, whether it's hockey or football, doesn't matter. Different level of intensity than we saw in the regular season. Well, that's human nature as well. Just like if you have the big lead, you're just not quite as intense.
Next game for the Blue Bombers is at Calgary next week. Next game for the Edmonton Eskimos in Toronto against the Argonauts. The Eskimos, with victory tonight, move into a first-place tie in the West with the BC Lions. And interesting, when you look at the Western standings, Glenn, not one Western team is above 500. I mentioned the Bombers go on to Calgary, and
boy, but that look you saw from Lyle Bauer.
Yeah, there's obvious concern about this franchise the way it is right now.
But that look is one of, he just may do it tonight.
And then where do you go? Where do you find the next head coach for this football team if in fact you do pull Ritchie off the sidelines? Where do you go?
Well, history would indicate that you look within first to at least finish the season. And defensive coordinator Mike Gordon is there. You've got
former Saskatchewan head coach Jim Daly.
Jim Daly has some head coaching experience, and you know, again, I don't want to make this sound like Lyle Bauer's been on a witch hunt. It's just that this team has expected Grey Cup experiences, and in some ways Dave Ritchie is a victim of his own success.
Well, the Bombers have won a lot of games under Dave Ritchie.
They certainly have.
And in the last couple of years, they have not won the big ones, including the Western playoff game last year.
Well, and it's been the digression, though. You know, like they go to the Grey Cup and lose that, and then they go to the West Final and lose that, and then the semifinal and lose that. So they're going in the wrong direction, and that's the concern, and that's why we're not reaching that.
I mean, this whole thing gets overblown by the fact that Ritchie comes into this season with only 1 year left on his contract. So, I mean, all of a sudden, if you don't extend the coach's contract and you've got him hanging out there on his little island with only 1 year to back him up. Mike Pringle for another several yards, and it's a new quarterback for the Eskimos, Bart Hendricks, in there to mop up with 39 seconds on the clock.
A little Bart Hendricks and a couple of reps for him. He gets a chance to come out and just get to run the offense a little bit. And the Winnipeg defense will be playing differently. He's only going to get a couple of snaps. In fact, they're just going to kneel down and end this one. Jason Maas, well prepared. Great game plan coming in. Knew he could try and exploit the secondary of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who were in patchwork mode.
Absolutely.
And 526, 4 touchdowns. Second in Edmonton Eskimo history.
So Maas got the job done tonight. Hendricks is in there right now. And looking back a couple of years, they talked about this Bart Hendricks, even when Ricky Ray was in Edmonton, as Hendricks being the guy who might have the most potential to be a star quarterback in the CFL. That was the Eskimo assessment of Hendricks. But they don't need a quarterback other than Jason Maas as a result of this one tonight. He was almost perfect.
Basically perfect, and